It looks like we have a new ban restricted list that has come out today. Instead of doing a just general reaction kind of, wow, amazing, I think it's more beneficial to just talk about what this means for the future of the format moving forward. It's been a while. We haven't had the last list since January, so this is 7 months in the making, which means if it's going to be another 7 months, then hopefully this sticks. But yeah, I just want to talk about what they did. So they hit the promo Ukomon to 1. I think the majority of the community is pretty happy with this. This is the primary culprit when it comes to the #1 form of degeneracy, like cycling upwards of 3 eggs in one turn. This combined with the Louis Tamer, which they also hit to 1. So I think Bandai has paid attention and recognized, both with feedback and just from the games that they've probably seen in testing, that these two cards combined together result in game states that allow a player to go through like I said, 3 eggs, potentially 4 eggs in one turn. Especially combined with cards like Analog Youth and cards that can delete themselves at the end of the turn. It gets pretty degenerate pretty quickly, and these are the two primary cards because they're the ones that gain you the memory and give you the resources to be able to do that without passing turn, as opposed to the BT16 Ukomon that only evos for 1, and doesn't gain you memory when it gets promoted. So restricting both of these cards to 1 definitely will cull the power of the decks that were using them, but by no means does this mean that they are unplayable now. It's just that they're going to be more balanced than they used to be. So these are really good. I think nobody is upset with this. I think a lot of shockers were attributed to Hammer Spark being on this list, but honestly, I'm not really surprised. Hammer Spark is a card, well, it belongs in the same class of options that costs 0. This is just a fundamental design philosophy change from the original design team to the current modern design team. You don't really see 0 cost options being printed anymore because just by design in a card game, anything that's free has the potential to be broken, and this is one that's free that gains you memory and has a security effect to gain memory. So this was going to be busted. Uh, it's basically a future-proofed card, or a non-future-proofed card. So they have to hit it to 1. It's about time. I'm surprised it took them this long to do it because 0 cost options should not exist that give this amount of resource advantage and also have such a good security effect. So yeah, now it's in the same line as HPD and the rest of them 0 cost options. There's a few more in the game. People would cite Gravity Crush, but Gravity Crush, while it is very powerful and it's a 0 cost red option, it has a minus here in the security box. So that's why if it didn't have a minus, if it actually had a real security effect, then I think Gravity Crush would also deserve to be on this list. But yeah, Hammer Spark, not a surprise. Awakening, yeah, cool. This is a Magna hit. They want to hit Magna without hitting Magna directly to impact card sales. And this is a pretty good way to do it. Numa X is the primary recursion card in Numemon. Numemon is definitely not dead. It's just that now that they only have 5 Ukomons to play with, and they won't have their primary memory gaining source in the form of Promo Ukomon and Louis, that they'll just need to play other black rookies, which they're fine with. They play Kokuamon to stop Warp Digivolve. They play Chumons to stop memory gain. Like, Numemon as a whole ain't going anywhere. It's just that its primary recursion ability is going to be hit. But if they find their one Nume X, then it's going to feel like the deck didn't really change because they can just keep recycling this guy. And then a lot of yellow players are upset that they hit the TK instead of Emissary. But yeah, this Tamer is basically 2 cost when you play it because you're going to use the on play and then immediately gain a memory. You can have multiple of them. You can gain a ton of memory. Probably the most contentious card on the list, but I think their decision to hit this over Emissary means that if you want to reliably get the recovery off of Emissary, you're going to have to play multiple copies of the Memory Setter TK or other versions of TK, instead of just being able to rely on this guy, which I think they just want to allow Emissary to still be there for future vaccine things, and they view hitting Awakening as a good enough of a hit to the consistency of the deck. Awakening and TK together really hurts the consistency of an already inconsistent yellow vaccine armor deck. and then unrestricting this Gabumon doesn't do anything. So what does this mean for the game? What does this mean for the game? It means that our favorite dragon and Davis and Ken is going to be everywhere because this deck didn't get touched at all. It's already making waves in North America. We love our Imperial Dramon and our blue decks, and not having any impact from this ban list other than maybe the Hammer Spark. I know a lot of lists were playing multiple copies of Hammer Spark because option's broken. Now they have a few other slots to mess around with. But in general, I think they view the fact that if this deck doesn't see Davis and Ken, it's average at best. Its real power comes from Davis and Ken, so I think they view it as, oh, okay, you can high roll people, and it's fine. And there are still answers to it, albeit few answers, at least in the current format. But as we go into EX7, BT18, Imperial will still be strong, but there's newer cards that are going to come out that you can kind of fight for advantage in the board. Still a very strong deck though. And then for people who were really salty about Mirage Galgamon, yeah, this blue dog ain't going anywhere. So be ready for it. I think prices of the card have already started going up again. The deck has been so good for like 12-13 months, and going untouched on the list means that you should expect to see it. It's still going to be a good deck, but as more powerful aces come out into the game, and interaction and protection, Mirage Gao is going to have a harder and harder time of OTKing you, because the deck itself doesn't actually have any protection. So if you can stick multiple bodies and threaten multiple aces, then they have to take that into account when playing. So I think it's okay. And again, as more cards are printed going forward, they'll just, you know, if you choose to play Mirage, cool, you can high roll, but I wouldn't be upset. I personally don't really view the deck as that much of a problem, but I guess it's up to personal preference. But yeah, Imperial, Mirage, not going anywhere. Nume is also still very strong. It's just not as strong as it used to be because it doesn't have, you know, infinite recursion with 4 copies of this. Now they only have the 1. They still have the very powerful board Flood, just by nature of the deck having 3 memory level 4s that they can just play. Monzaemon and Monze X, they still have the end of opponent's turn DP minus. They still have the very powerful removal. It's just that their amount of float won't be as high, but it will still be there because Nume X was not banned. And once they find the 1 copy, they can just keep bringing it back with its own effect. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And the hitting of Ukomon means they're just going to play other Floodgate Black rookies that are strong against the current format, like Kokuamon and Chumon. They still threaten powerful aces like Valkyrie, and there's going to be a new Shadow Seraphi ace coming out that they can play. So the deck is the definition of toolbox and versatility, and that doesn't really change with their Nume X going to 1 and their Promo Uko going to 1. Ancient Garurumon, it's the newest top dog on the scene. Red base took a little bit of a hit, but you could honestly just replace the loss of Promo Ukomons with the Promo Gyomon. They're already playing Muchomon for the draw on swing, but this Promo Gyomon, when attacking draw 1, you can just play these, and you effectively have just more rookies that you evo on an egg, and you draw 2 cards. That's effectively what it means. But with the hit of the Promo Uko and Louis to 1, it just means that they don't get to cycle and be as aggressive with their eggs as they used to. No longer will they be able to chip you down to 3 or 2 security without even having to go into a hybrid, at least not as easily. So but the amount of advantage that they still can recur just from their rookies alone hasn't really changed. They can just swap for Promo Gyomons, keep red base. The Gabumon base Ancient Garurumon, with the BT15 Gabumon with the Matashita. This version of the deck was hit the hardest because it needed to play 4 Louis to be able to consistently push Gabumons out of raising and gain the memory and card draw from Mat. So not being able to push multiple Gabus from the raising area and trigger this Matashita over and over and over severely hurts the power of that version of the deck. But I think the traditional red base and the traditional hybrid blue base with Strabimons are still going to be top tier. Ancient Guru isn't going anywhere. Ancient Greymon's not going anywhere. So realistically, they didn't kill any decks in the meta other than the Gabumon base version, in my opinion. No decks were killed. They were simply culled in power level to be on a little more level playing field going into EX7 and BT18. And for us, that means Special Booster 2.0 for BT18 and half of BT19, and 2.5 for the other half of 19 and 20. So, not bad. I think the community can't be upset with Bandai's choices, other than maybe this guy. But either way, like, this is probably the best ban and restricted list that the team at Bandai has put out in the history of the game. They nailed almost everything that the community has been asking for and has identified. So yeah, I mean, it just shows that they're listening to feedback and they're paying more attention than the previous team did in the past couple years. So yeah, we look forward to the upcoming format. Decks that are strong are still strong. It's not like Imperial got stronger, it's just that their competition got a little bit weaker. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more Imperials pop up. Use that for what you will to design your decks to try and fight against them. We might see the resurgence of Tyrant Kabuterimon, as Tyrant Kabuteri has a pretty good matchup against Imperial, being completely immune to Digimon effects and can redirect their attacks into himself. So we might see a Tyrant resurgence. Who knows? And then, you know, maybe some other creative deck builders will come forth and make something happen. But with EX7 a couple weeks away, and then the special release 2.0 coming not too far in the distant future, we'll see. It's an exciting time for sure. I'm just happy to see a list that is pretty representative of what the community as a whole has been feeling. And yeah, hopefully Bandai keeps it up, and looking forward to global release. If you guys like this kind of video, if you want me to talk about other kinds of topics, let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see everyone around. Take care.